Alright, hello YouTubers. Wanted to do a video of my 25-inch Mclane commercial greens mower. When you look at these things online, you do not find very much content, whether that be through YouTube or Google. There might be a couple articles you may read on the lawn forum, but not a whole lot of how-to on how to really work with this mower. Kind of a little bit of backstory on this. I did purchase this mower used, obviously. Got it from a guy that's actually a good friend of mine now. But he had picked it up from somebody out in Stockton, California for a really good price. But the mower had its challenges. So he basically felt that it was too much for him. So he ended up wanting to sell it. And that's kind of where I found it. And then also was able to pick this up. So you're going to notice that this mower is not your typical Mclane that you see out there. There are greenskeeper models that they sell today, 10 blades that they sell today, the groove rollers. A lot of things on this mower are going to look like other Mclane mowers that you may have seen in the past. With this particular mower, it does have the Honda GX 160 motor, which I absolutely love. The 120 is really my favorite, and I got a couple other mowers that have that motor on it, but the GX 160 is definitely a great mower. 5.5 horsepower, definitely does the job here. So on this particular greens mower, you're going to notice a couple different changes or different things that you do not see on the other particular Mclanes. One thing that people generally get confused about is this black box that you are seeing to the right of the screen here. Within that black box, and I'll take it off in a moment here, but within that black box is the drive system for the Mclane. In most cases where you see other Mclanes, you have a drop wheel, whether it be 20 or 25 inch, on the backside. This particular mower has no drop wheel. In fact, there's a series of the typical Mclane tires that you find that kind of act as a rear roller where helps produce a really nice stripe. With that, the drive configuration is a little bit different. On your typical Mclanes, you will see your reel engagement, which you do see up top here, which I'll kind of go through that and kind of explain how that works. But you have a separate lever that controls the drive, and that's basically what propels the mower. You cannot propel the drive system without the reel spinning. So just like on some of the other greens mowers, they're not independent of one another like they are on the True Cuts, where you can independently drive and not turn the reel. In order to actually drive this mower, unless you're pushing it, it does require you to have the reel engaged. One nifty thing I definitely do like, because I just think it looks really cool, is the dual belt setup, whereas in most of the other cases with other Mclanes, you have your single belt. This belt, I believe, is a 20-inch belt, which is a little different than the Mclanes that you standardly see with the 19.5 inch. And underneath the gear system here, there's also another belt that you'll find in there, which I think is a 22-inch belt, if I'm not correct, or it might be 21. But on this particular mower, it does have the 25-inch 10 blade with a grooved roller from Mclane. I would love to be able to swap out this roller, but there's really not a replacement that's out there in the aftermarket. I definitely am a big fan of reel rollers, but they do not make a particular roller for this for the greenskeeper models. So at the same time, though, it is a great roller that Mclane makes, but I just like the look of the aluminum groove roller if I'm able to see it. A couple different things I did upgrade or change since owning the mower. I put a new Honda gas cap on this particular model. I had the older black style gas cap. I replaced the muffler. I had a small exhaust leak, so I went ahead and changed that. New spark plugs, new air filter housing, that just to kind of dress up the engine portion of the car. I also did add a RPM gauge. The original reasoning for this was really about more the hours gauge, and really being able to track how much I'm actually using this particular mower. So this mower definitely does the job. I definitely am a big fan of it. The height of cut adjustment is just like how it is on the other Mclane's greenskeeper models, where you have a bolt here that you'll loosen and a micro knob here to be able to raise it. Now, some people have mentioned, I don't know if you guys can see this or not from the video, but if you see the little lines there, they're actually height of cut adjustments. Now, I don't know what each of the bars represent as far as distance, but at the same time, I have used those to kind of help line up the mower. I do not have an AccuGauge gauge to be able to control the or change the height of cut that accurately. I typically just would use a straight bar and a tape measure to be able to level out. But you know, generally I do not change my height of cut very often. This is set at a little bit under 3/4 inch, somewhere between 5/8 and 3/4. That's the height that I like for my Bermuda grass. Again, I just wanted to kind of go over this mower just to kind of show some of the features that you are not able to see when looking at a lot of the information online. I have met a few people through Facebook that have the 20-inch models of these, and we've kind of collaborated and shared different things in order to get these things back to standard. It was not running exactly tip-top when I first got it, so I definitely wanted to be able to make some modifications and make some changes so to be able to get this mower running the way it should, and really match the performance with how great of a mower it looks look-wise. So let me go ahead and remove the drive system cover, because in most cases when you look online, you do not even see any type of videos that show what's underneath the cover. So I'll definitely be able to kind of give you guys a peek under the hood. But at the same time, where I learned mostly about this mower was actually from the factory manual that I was able to find online. Had I not found that manual, it would have been very difficult. But even the manual is not very descriptive. But there are a couple things here that I'll be able to kind of show you guys in the video, where we're really kind of going through with how this mower generally works. Hello everybody, I just want to jump in here for just a moment and kind of say hello and introduce myself, but welcome to my YouTube channel called Dwayne's World. As the title suggests, my name is Dwayne. You know, I want to thank my beautiful wife. She came up with the name of the channel, something you wouldn't think it would be as difficult as it was, but it really was. But obviously being my better half, she always has great ideas. So, you know, I figured I'd, reach out to her and ask her for what her suggestions were, and she came up with a great one. So, you know, I think the title of the channel is very fitting just because it's going to really revolve around things that I'm very passionate about and things that I enjoy doing in my free time. This by no means is a profession of mine. I just want to be able to share some of the things I've learned in lawn care and just different DIY things. So hopefully you guys get some nice takeaways from these videos. If there's things that you'd like to see, questions you have, please drop them in the comments below. As always, please give me a like, thumbs up, as well as a subscribe to my channel. You know, I will see how far this channel will go. I don't know. Again, it's just something brand new. This is my very first YouTube channel. So I hope one of very many in the future to come. But again, thank you for stopping by. We'll get back to the video now on the 25-inch Mclane greens mower. But again, wanted to say thank you for stopping in and look forward to future content. All right, so one of the first things you need to do in order to remove the cover is there are 3 screws that hold the cover in place, which you'll see 1, 2, and 3. These are not the factory screws, but basically I ended up picking these screws up. I added a little washer to it just because of the length of the screw. I wanted to be able to make sure that it's going to have enough bite in there, but at the same time not go so far in that it would damage anything. So again, that's not necessarily something that is set up the way Mclane had it set up. I don't know truthfully how they did have it set up. When I got this mower, it did not have any screws in there. So I definitely wanted to be able to take it, to be able to properly secure it. The other piece of it also is that there is a little box or a little red hook or a red shaft, I guess you would say. Kind of hard to see from this angle. But basically that slides into an indentation on it. Now, in order to fully remove the black box off of the mower, you do have to release that portion of the drive system to be able to get it off. So kind of one of the things when you're messing with the mower or really working on it, you may want to just leave it off so it's not in the way. But for right now, I can kind of just scoot it out of the way just to kind of show everybody what's in here. So let me go ahead and just move that. Okay, sorry about the bad video quality there as I'm doing that. Okay. All right, so here is the actual drive system. Whoa, it's kind of a mess in there. So definitely got some clippings I got to clean up. So if you look here, there's different chains that operate the mower itself. There is a side plate here that actually is removable, and it's removed by unscrewing there, and there's one other 1/2 inch screw below here that's kind of hard to see. The other two screws that are in the middle of the screen here, those are for the rear drive chain where it's an adjustment sprocket. So hopefully I can maybe get in here to be able to show it. My camera will focus. Yeah, so within here, there's again a sprocket that's down there that allows you to be able to adjust the tension on this particular chain there. Now, this particular chain is no longer available through Mclane, but if you understand how to cut chain and restock the chain or to put it back together, you're able to make your own chain. It's a 41 chain, just like that's used on other Mclanes. The front reel chain here that drives the reel and in essence drives the drive system through the belt there is a 41 chain as well. The interesting thing about the chain length there, it's actually the same size chain that they use on the 20 or 25 inch Mclanes to drive the reel on the side. So I think for you Mclane owners, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, it's the same chain that they that you would use there. With the belt here, when you engage the drive system, you notice it'll put tension on the particular belt to allow the reel to be able to, while the reel's spinning, to be able to drive the mower forward. As you can see here, there are a couple other chains here. I'm just kind of running it manually here that allows you to be able to propel the mower forward. So basically, this system is a 3-chain, 1-belt system that seems to work really, really well. Again, everything is dependent on the reel. One other feature that I absolutely love on this particular mower is that, and it's kind of hard to see here, but there is an actual chain tensioner for the reel. With that particular tensioner, and you can't also see it, and again, I'll have to remove the side plate for you guys to see, which I'll do in a moment here, is you're able to backlap this mower utilizing the mower, or motor, excuse me. So rather than... Right, YouTubers, so I wanted to take a minute and step into the garage here. I apologize about the break in the video. It was too hot outside. My phone actually overheated. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the side cover here so you guys can see a little more in depth as far as a little more of the mechanics of it. I know a lot of it is up top here. They're able to see, but there's a lot that's happening underneath the chain cover, which again, I do not see a lot of content out there that actually shows that. So I want to take a minute to be able to do it. This particular screw that's up here, or nut that's up there, is actually a 7/16. You can use either a wrench or a socket set like I have here to be able to remove that. The other screws are going to be removed within 1/2 inch, just like your typical Mclane. So let's go ahead and get those covers, get the cover off. So I'm going to swap out here to my 1/2 inch. So we'll go ahead and remove this. Looks like that was a little bit loose to begin with. That's not good. But nonetheless, it's coming off here. I did replace quite a bit of these bolts, you know, from out of the, I actually got these replacement bolts off Amazon. They were actually a really good price, and they look like good quality. So just for those of you that may need replacements for them, if they rust out or whatnot, they are the typical same size that you'd find on most Mclanes, although there is a variety of the 1/2 inch screws that you'll see here. Oop, it looks like I actually unscrewed the wrong one. There's actually a nut here I need to get off. There it is. Okay. All right. So now we're going to get that loose. So again, you have the nut there. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see. Looks like it was painted red. We have the 1/2 inch screw there. And then I've already removed the 7/16 screw right here. That I've already taken off. Now these two screws here, you do not have to actually fully loosen, meaning you do not have to remove, but you do want to give it You do want to release some back, you back them off a little bit, so you're able to move the tensioner in the direction in order to free up this belt guard. So got it loose there, got it loose there. And if you see here, it actually will now come back into a less loosened position. So now, once I go ahead and take the actual cover off, this chain does drop. It is pretty messy under here. Definitely needs a little bit of cleanup in there, which I'll probably do before I put this guy back together, since I already have the plate off. So if you notice here, there are quite a few sprockets that you're able to see up top, but the thing that kind of perplexed me at first was what this specific sprocket is supposed to do and the purpose of it. When reading through the manual, one of the coolest features on this particular mower is the ability to be able to backlap it utilizing the motor itself versus using a drill adapter that you typically see with the other Mclanes. What you'll do is there are 2 1/2-inch screws that are right here that's attached to this drive, the belt plate. But underneath that is this actual tensioner that actually applies tension to the reel chain here. What you're able to do is you're actually able to reroute this chain to be able to go around this particular sprocket here, in addition to this sprocket and this sprocket, and it kind of catches the back end of this to be able to run the reel backwards for you to be able to backlap. I'll probably put together another video for that. Right now, I don't think I really need a backlap. It hasn't been that long ago since I did one. But just really cool that you're able to utilize the mower and the power from the motor to be able to run that reel backwards. Where I haven't seen very many mowers that actually have that capability. I think the newer Allets that Ron Henry runs may have that feature, but nonetheless, this doesn't require any extra special tools. You just need your compound, a long paintbrush, and really, some gas in the motor to be able to run that reel backwards. So definitely very, very, very cool. The other thing that I've also noticed about this particular mower is a lot of the bearings. I did have to replace this bearing here. That's why you're kind of seeing that little divot there when I use the bearing puller. But all these bearings that are in here, and there's quite a few of them, all use the same size bearing. I can't read it right there, but I'll go ahead and post it maybe in the comment section or something like that, or post it below on which particular bearings I used. I did order up quite a series of them, or quite a few of them, off of Amazon. I know that this particular bearing is the same size bearing that actually is for the reel itself. So you're able to utilize all the same bearings. So if you need to order replacements, you always have a couple on hand, in the event that you have one fail. One thing that I also thought was really cool that you can't quite see because it's so dirty, there's an actual diagram that's on the inside of this cover that actually shows you how to backlap the mower. And it actually shows the actual configuration of the chain in the normal position and in the backlap position. So I thought that was really cool. I didn't even realize that until after I got everything and I was going to start to do the backlap. So I'm going to get this all cleaned up here to be able to put back together so it looks a little bit better, and then I'll come back with a little more video on the reel and bed knife so you guys can be able to see that. I did want to jump in real quick and just mention a couple things before I put the cover back on here. The first thing, it's always a very good idea to make sure you do lube up your chains, fairly regularly. I think, just like anything else, you probably want to do them at least every couple weeks, if not every week, to make sure that you have proper lubrication. Of course, a lot is going to determine how much you use your mower, in addition to what area of the country you live in. So there's going to be a lot of different factors on, but you do want to inspect them, make sure that your chains are in good shape. What I normally use to lube up my chains, I do a couple other things. I've used motor oil, but this is a new WD-40 that I picked up recently. Not a sponsored video by any means, that WD-40 now sells for chains and gears and that sort of thing. So it seems to be really good. I really like that it's real thick and real gel-like versus it being like, just like an oil that comes out of an aerosol. So definitely like that. We'll probably continue to use that in the future. But one of the things I did want to mention on this particular on the drive system that I forgot to mention earlier was when I first got this mower, the propulsion on it was really, really slow, like practically to the point where maybe you would think that something is wrong with the mower or broken. And, you know, I don't think that was actually the case. And kind of looking through the manual, I found that there is a normal speed and a faster speed. And the normal speed in the default setting was the way the mower came probably from the factory. There is a way to adjust it. So the propulsion is more along the lines of what the normal Mclanes are. I would say that this mower does not propel quite as fast as like my other Mclane or my cow trimmer, but nonetheless it does propel at a speed that's much more reasonable. So what you need to do, let me kind of come in close here. When you get this mower originally, or when you have the mower, this particular pulley here has a spacer that it's kind of hard to see here, but there's a spacer that I installed in between. Now that spacer is included. Now generally in the default setting, behind this nut here, you will find that spacer. So generally, and I can't remember if the configuration was nut, this spacer, and then that other spacer. And again, I apologize, I can't remember the actual dimension of it. It's not very thick. It's maybe a 1/4 inch, something like that. Or even less than 1/8 inch, something like that. But what it does, once you remove that spacer from here, this pulley here is actually 2 pieces. It's not a single piece, it's 2 pieces. And you put that spacer in between these 2 pulleys. And what that does, I guess, is it somehow changes the ratio or the tension on the belt to where that belt probably gets down further into this actual pulley system to help propel the mower much faster. Now, when I did that, that was a game changer for this particular mower. I was really concerned about the mower prior. Even the previous owner had mentioned it just runs really, really slow. It's practically like walking, much slower than you would an average person would want. Now it's much more of a regular pace that is appropriate for the particular mower. So again, I wanted to point that out because that was something that was very difficult initially to figure out because the manual does explain it. Now when I read the manual, it makes a lot more sense. But when you're my first initial take on reading it, it was pretty confusing to me, at least to me. And again, I'm not an expert. I don't work on lawnmowers for a living. I'm not a mechanic. So just kind of as a DIY guy, I definitely am so glad I found that in the proper way to do that. And again, no videos online to actually show that. But I probably won't do it again. Unfortunately, I wish I recorded it back then. But it's not a very complicated thing, like I mentioned. You do have to secure this particular shaft with something like either a vice grip or something to basically hold it down to be able to remove this nut here. Because, like as you can imagine, when you turn that nut without any tension on that shaft, it's just going to spin and spin, and you can't break that nut loose. So that's pretty much what I did, and it definitely helped out. So let me kind of take you guys around to the front here. To the actual reel. Again, this is a 10-blade reel. The bed knife on it, and it's a little bit harder to see here, but I guess the bed knife that this particular mower uses, let me see if I can get down there far enough to be able to see it. If it will focus, which you won't. But this particular bed knife that this Mclane uses, it can adapt, or can you definitely use the existing bed knife that they sell currently for the 25. They also sell a greenskeeper bed knife as well, which is thinner, but hardened in a way which actually is much more durable than a typical greens mower. I'm not an expert on what it exactly should look like. Right now, I do have it cutting paper. The only thing I would probably say that I don't like is that originally from when I got this particular mower, it looks like the reel sits a little bit higher on that side than this side. The adjustments for the Mclane are just like the other Mclanes, where you go ahead and loosen this 1/2 inch bolt. And I apologize, I keep calling the bolts screws in some of my earlier verbiage, but when you remove these 1/2 inch bolts from either side, not remove but loosen, there's also going to be that secondary one, and that's no different. And you'll basically use either a screwdriver, hammer, whatnot, to raise or lower the height or the reel to bed knife clearance. Right now, the way I have it set up, I just washed the mower not too long ago, so I may get a little bit of noise here. But basically, I have very minimal contact, and this thing pretty much spins very freely. Now, you may hear that sound and think it's coming from the reel. I think it's actually coming from up here, actually in the vibration between the plate and the grass shield. But when this thing runs, it runs like really, really good. Practically whispering. I'm really happy with the way I have this set up here. It was previously sharpened. I don't generally sharpen My mower is through a service. I tend to backlap a lot. Now, eventually, I know probably in order to get that really clean particular cut, you have to take it to a sharpener. But I don't have a truck. It's hard for me to move these mowers around. I find that backlapping works really well for me. I don't put my mowers through anything really aggressive. So pretty much all I'm mowing is grass. So I think that helps me be able to get by with not needing to take it to a sharpener. But maybe one day I will. So the other thing I wanted to point out were the height adjustment bars. If you look here, this looks like it's raw metal. I actually painted that black. When I first bought this particular mower, that was all rusted and seized. It took quite a bit of heat. It took quite a bit of time and probably a lot of choice 4-letter words to get that bolt off. Or to be able to get the bracket off, but I finally got it. The rust wasn't so bad that it corroded the metal. It was mostly surface rust, but it was just really seized up really bad. So I'm so happy that I was able to get that freed up and be able to save this particular bolt. I know these are not easy to come by. I did have to replace the locking bolt below that. Went to Home Depot, got that bolt. So it's a little bit of a different diameter, or the thickness of it is a little different, but it works. It's the right threading. It's the right thread, and it definitely goes on and on. You can still see some residual rust there that I probably want to make sure I get off as well, so I don't have a future issue. Again, I don't really adjust the height of cut very often, but when I do, I definitely want to be able to do that. I actually had it down a little closer to 5/8. I did bump it up slightly just because the Bermuda is getting so thick, and I did not do a preseason scalp this year. The roller, like I mentioned, I would love to replace, but it's a really good roller. Bearings on it still seem to be fine. I'll probably replace those one day if I ultimately need to. I think that's pretty much this mower in a nutshell. I think I reviewed most things. Again, I'll get the correct belt. It's either a 20 or 21 size belt. It is a little bit more of a pain to actually be able to get back or be able to replace. Not as simple as the other Mclanes. A little more bolts have to come off. The bracket has to come off. The thing I will say that is interesting about this particular mower, and I don't know if it's just the way it's set up, the way I have it set up, that is. I'm sure it's not supposed to be like this. And I'll start it up here in a moment, but the reel actually runs when I'm not engaged. So on the other Mclanes, when you see that or have that problem, it generally is because your belt or your clutch is too tight. But because of the way that this clutch system works is different, it applies the pressure in an upward motion when you engage the reel. As you can see here, it's actually lifting on the belts versus on the other Mclanes, it's actually pushing forward to create that tension. There's no way for, at least I haven't figured out a way for me to be able to tighten the tension or loosen the tension enough so where I'm able to have that belt not spin or spin, but not spin the reel. So it's not a bother. It doesn't bother me. It's probably more of a safety issue. I probably wouldn't have it, mowing around my son. But at the same time, it doesn't seem to affect the performance of it. Other people I've spoken to that have the same mower have the same problem. So again, I don't know if it's just supposed to be like that. Of course, it revs at a different speed when you're actually engaging the clutch and that belt's going versus the actual speed of the actual mower. But again, I'll get it started up here. I'm going to go ahead and put the cover back on. But again, I just wanted to mention about the propulsion and about the drive, so that way you guys can actually see and I apologize, I'm just trying to get the cover back on here. You guys can see the actual mower running. I'll probably do a video of me actually mowing with the mower, but again, this video is really just about a tutorial, kind of soup to nuts on this particular Mclane's mower. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get it started up here. Got everything back on, screws back in. I double checked everything, make sure everything's tightened down right. One thing I did also wanted to point out on this cover, if you look real closely, it actually says oil. So it's a way for you to be able to oil your chains. Helps if you use the WD-40 straw, and you're able to pretty much get down there without taking the cover off. I like to take the cover off just so I can clean it up and know where I'm spraying the oil. But if you just need to do a quick one, I think it's really cool and convenient that they set that up the way it is. So I'm going to go ahead and start the mower here. So just like on every other GX 160 or GX motors, you flip on your little on switch there. You got my fuel already on here. And then I'm going to set the choke. And we'll go ahead and give it a start up. Don't you love the Honda mowers with the one start pull? All right, so as you guys can see here, this is running at idle, but I am getting the real running, which I don't really like, but it is what it is, you know. All right, so I'm going to give it some more throttle here so you guys can hear it. I have it set to about 3,600 RPM, which is I think where you want the mower. Again, that's spinning pretty fast. If I were to try to cut grass with it, and let me turn it down here. If I were to try to cut grass with it actually at full throttle, it will bog down. It's not going to continue to punch. There's not enough tension on that particular belt. But again, it's something I still got to play with to be able to run it. But again, in order to drive the system, again, since that reel is running, if I hit the drive, I am there's some propulsion there. You know what I do love, and let me go ahead and turn this down here and let me turn it off. What I do love about these particular Mclanes, and all Mclanes, is that, like, just how lightweight they are and how nimble they are. I will say the 25-inch is not as nimble as the 20-inch, but at the same time, I just really love the feel of them. Even with that drive system, these things roll really easily. So if I had to push it from the shed to the backyard, not a big deal there. So definitely, really, have enjoyed this video. Again, my first video, give me a thumbs up. Definitely as many comments as you guys are willing to share. I love to hear your feedback. And definitely, hopefully be able to put together some more content for you guys. Thank you. Have a great day. God bless.